Everyone was completely stunned when Yuta came back as Gojo. It's fair to say that nobody expected this twist of events, but what if I told you that this also determined Yuta's death in the following chapters? Don't believe me? I'll tell you why Gege Akutami will not let Yuta live and why it is better for the story. When Yuta returned to the battlefield in Gojo's body at the end of chapter 260, everyone was confused. Yuta stole Kenjaku's ability and swapped his brain into the body of Gojo Satoru. While this plan was a last resort for our protagonists, we also discovered that it is full of risks. Can only use this ability when Rika is fully manifested. After 5 minutes, Rika disappears and Yuta can no longer use Kenjaku's ability. This leaves us with 3 possible outcomes that Mei explained to us in chapter 261. If Kenjaku's ability requires constant activation, Yuta dies instantly because he cannot manifest Kenjaku's technique anymore. If Kenjaku's technique can be activated occasionally, it slowly drains his life force. He might have some time left, but eventually it will catch up to him. But if Kenjaku's ability only needs to be activated once, he will forever remain in Gojo's body. In 2 of these 3 cases, Yuta will die. But just in case, why can we assume that Yuta isn't going to survive in Gojo's body? First of all, Yuta would have to win against Sukuna. But even more importantly, it would make the ending of Jujutsu Kaisen anticlimactic and underwhelming. But why would it be anticlimactic? This is a typical lead up to a climax and its conclusion. It is usually split in 5 stages of a story. The exposition is the communication of information to the audience. In terms of Jujutsu Kaisen, this has been done the entire series. Every information, every fact that we get about Sukuna or Yuji lead up to this fight. The next stage began when Gojo lost to Sukuna. This was the incident that led up to the fight against Sukuna. This is where everything began. If we look back, we can also say that Yuji eating Sukuna's finger was the incident that started to lead up to the point of Yuji fighting Sukuna. With this event happening, the next stage can begin. In storytelling, this is called rising action. The build up towards the grand finale of the story. When we look back, the entire fight against Sukuna has been building up to the climax. Higuruma vs Sukuna, Chose vs Sukuna, Maki vs Sukuna, Todo vs Sukuna and now Yuta vs Sukuna. Everyone involved was just a stepping stone for Yuji finally beating Sukuna for the first time. But what even is a climax? A climax in storytelling is the most intense, exciting or emotionally charged point in a narrative. It is the conclusion of an arc in which readers see the main character make decisions and face obstacles that define who they are and what they stand for. The climax allows stories to build to increasingly satisfying resolutions or tragic endings. The perfect climax for this fight would be Yuji defeating Sukuna. But suddenly, this climax would get interrupted by Yuta killing Sukuna. Think about it, our protagonist, who has been struggling the entire series, doesn't get his revenge. All of the suffering, all of the sacrifices, every single piece of character development Yuji went through, everything would be in vain because a side character gets a power up and comes in to clean up the final enemy. This would not only be anticlimactic, but also would be bad story writing. Sure, we love Jujutsu Kaisen for its plot twists and its gruesome way of storytelling, but this just would not fit the way Gege Akutami tells stories. But let's think even further. What happens after Yuta would win? If Yuta lives on in Gojo's body, can he swap to another body to let Gojo rest in peace? In Gojo's body he's not able to use Kenjaku's technique as he cannot manifest Rika again. So he has no other choice but to stay. Yuta would be the strongest and could stay in Gojo's body. But it would be a very disrespectful way of ending the story of Gojo Satoru. The character that Gege Akutami has been building since the beginning and who led to the success of Jujutsu Kaisen. It just wouldn't be a fitting ending for the character of Gojo Satoru. If you think of Jujutsu Kaisen, do you think of a story that protects its characters like The Promised Neverland? Or do you think about a series that will kill its characters if it's necessary for the story to continue? Jujutsu Kaisen definitely is a story that is willing to end its characters when needed. The best example is Nanami. He died for Yuji's character development when finishing his role as Yuji's mentor. This led to Yuji accepting his role in the world of Jujutsu Kaisen. With this, Yuji became the true protagonist of the series and overcame the accusations of not being a good protagonist. Also, I don't think Gege Akutami completely lied when telling us that in the end everyone is going to die. I think it's likely that many characters will end up dying before it's over. And Yuta, one way or another, is one of those. For the progress of the story and development of the characters, Yuta will be sacrificed.